office hours call for May. It looks like we have enough people on the line to get started. So I'm going to have Anna, if you can please start the recording.
Started.
Thank you. So welcome to the revised MnCHOICES call-in session for May. My name is Rakia Banya, and I am one of the MnCHOICES policy leads. Today, I'll be facilitating the call while Teresa is currently on vacation, but she will be back to join us for the next call-in session. Here's a list of additional policy staff who might be on the call with us today, and the staff that will be assisting with answering your questions when we get to that point in the presentation. As a reminder, this session is being recorded. We will not be using the chat or Q&A feature, so if you have a question, navigate to your reactions icon and raise your hand. We will unmute your line in the order you raised your hand, but if you have any technical issues, please let us know by using the chat feature. So this is where we like to acknowledge the ground rules for this call. This has been a standard slide for these calls, so I'm not going to read each line, but I'll give you a moment to review it before we get started. All right, so here's our agenda for today's call. So today we plan to give you help desk updates. We'll allow you some time to ask questions related to the MNA and MNSP application or legacy applications, and we'll provide other updates, including system updates, and then we'll also save some time at the end for Q&A. So we are going to start with help desk updates, and so at this time, I'm going to ask Kong to go off mute to provide these updates.
Thanks, Rukia. I'm wondering if you can hear me.
Yeah, yep, I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Hello, everyone. I don't have that much, just some things that we've been hearing at the help desk. I'm going to skip over the legacy MNA and MNSP. We'll go straight to the revised. All right, so you might have already seen the all clear this morning on the print issue that started yesterday about 2 p.m. The issue has been fixed. So thank you for your patience with that. Next here, I will report on the offline mode, the timeout interval. We had this issue reported several months ago. Users have been saying that offline timeout was timing them out sooner than 15 minutes. And after some research, we found out that it was actually the idle timer rather than the 15-minute interval. So it was the idle timer. It wasn't resetting. So for example, a user would be working in the application, say 5 minutes. He leaves the application idle for 5 minutes. That's a total of 10 minutes, and then he returns. And at that time, the idle timer should have reset, but just another 5 minutes, he gets timed out. So that could be perceived as, okay, the timeout interval was only 5 minutes, but it was not the interval, it was rather the idle timer. That's planned for, the fix is planned for today's release. So, you know, going forward next Monday or something, if you guys hear of any timeout issues in offline mode, make a report and we'll research it further. All right. Going on, This next one is about the health insurance information loading after a person record is created. So in the last release, April's release, enhancement was made to reduce the time of the load. So there's two ways of how a person record is created. One is the importing method. So this the enhancement was done to have the health insurance information import at the same time. So this is working as expected. The second method is when you create a new person record, and that's without the importing. With this is the one that we've been hearing some complaints about. Um, People are saying that it's not loading the next day, and after doing some research, we found that the loads sometimes might be later than the next morning. It could go be delayed until the afternoon, or it could take the entire day, business day. Like let's say it'll complete at 6, 5 or 6. So the user won't get the health information until the next day, the following day. So 2 days over. And we did some research, and it came down to the size of the load. So sometimes the load is bigger than usual, and it's not something we could necessarily control because, say, for instance, if there had been a lot of activity with person records the day prior, today the load is it's going on in the background overnight and stuff like that, but it's going to take more processing. So with larger loads, we're not going to get that done, and then it's going to delay the health insurance information loading. It could be until the afternoon or even longer. Now, since the release, we've only seen a couple of events that it did, in fact, load it later. We anticipate that this issue will become even lesser as the application age, and we will continue to work with the vendor to improve this. At this time, we recommend using the import process, as this will get the health insurance info loaded right away. But if you have to create a new person without the importing, there's you know uh, scenarios where you can't do the import. Just be informed that there's a slight chance you might not see the information loaded the very next morning. So I think it's fair, if you have a user report that uh, by about noon, let us know and we can at least check on it and let you know what's going on with it. So that's all my updates for today. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kong, for providing those updates. Before we move on, I'm going to have Amy go off mute to give her update as well.
Can you guys hear me?
Hi, Amy, we can hear you.
Oh, great. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. This is a very recent development that it seems that there is a defect that we need to get fixed. When people are filling out their EWRS tool, in the portion where you can enter, you can either enter minutes per day, minutes per week, minutes per month, or hours per month. Apparently, when you're printing it out, it's not showing the columns of minutes per day, or I think it's hours per week. What I'm seeing when I'm doing my testing is that it's showing only the monthly hours. It's converting them into monthly hours. So it looks kind of strange, but the rate is actually correct. And so the workaround is going to be basically you can either write in, manually the number of, if it's easier for people to look at it and understand, you can write it in on the printout, the number of minutes per day or per week. Or you can actually print out what we call the user interface, which is where you're actually in the tool and you're entering in all of the minutes and hours and that kind of information. So we are going to get it fixed, but it'll look a little bit strange when you're printing it out. I've also had one person who there's 7 different scenarios by which people become eligible for 24-hour customized living. And there's one scenario that requires that you have 50 hours of time. It seems that this defect is affecting that as well. So if you were, if you're putting minutes per day in there, it's not counting all of the columns. It's only counting the hours per month column in order to count towards that 50 hours. So I'll be writing up a workaround for this, but there is in the practice guide for the support plan on page 44 and 45, there is a chart that will, if you want to try to do it in the monthly column so that everything will be printed out that way, you can find the chart that converts the number of minutes to decimals. And again, that's in the support plan practice guide on page 44 and 45. I understand that's time consuming and we will get that fixed as soon as possible, but if you want to have everything go smoothly, you can convert the minutes to the decimals and then multiply it for the monthly total of minutes. Does anybody have questions?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, so just know that we are working on it. And then as usual, if you have any questions, and especially if you're having a hard time getting the 24-hour customized living, if you're having trouble with that eligibility, send in a ticket and I can walk you through how to do it. Thank you.
All right, so then on the next few slides, we'll take a look at other updates we have to share with you as well. So some information we wanted to share for your awareness is that the resource for the HSS moving expense is now available. At this time, we're just informing assessors of the new policy and where they can find the information. But if you have any questions or want to know more about it, you can click on the link in this PowerPoint to learn more. So this slide just provides a visual of all defects that are resolved and still pending. As you can see, we have a total of 193 defects that have been resolved, and we're still working through a number of pending defects. So on slide 10, so on the previous slide, we looked at the total number of defects, and on this slide, we're looking at the overall number of enhancements. So when we look at our launch readiness and if we're ready to move to the next phase in launch, we look at what we still have pending for defects and enhancements, and so we'll continue to measure enhancements and defects as we move closer to the next phase. So for future enhancements, we wanted to inform you that we're in the process of creating and testing reports. The reports are not a part of the release schedule, but the input group ranked the reports and grouped them by priority level. And if you want to see the full list of reports and their rankings, You can review the appendix section at the end of this PowerPoint. We also wanted to inform you that an e-list will be coming out with information on changes we're making to the MnCHOICES Partner Link webpage. And so we'll be working to clean up the webpage, and our plan is to start with the MnCHOICES revision page. If you click on the link that we have here on this slide, you'll see some of the changes that we plan to make beginning this month in May. So again, stay tuned for that announcement to come out. So during the April office hours call, we had a few mentors ask for the list of sample assessments and support plans that were created by internal policy staff. And so if you want to see these sample forms, you can log into the revised MnCHOICES training zone and search by any of these names that you see on the screen. We do want to caution users to only view the forms and not work in these forms. So please don't create new forms off of these sample forms in the system. Right before this call, we did realize that the MnCHOICES assessment and support plan for the AC program for Angela, if you go out to look at the PowerPoint that was posted, there might have been a spelling error in the name. And so instead of Angel, I think is what it says that's posted, the name is Angela for this last bulleted for the AC program. You'll want to search Angela. All right, so for Help Center and training updates, we want to inform you of documents that were recently uploaded to the Help Center. As you can see, one of the documents that were recently updated is the Smart Guide for adding users. And if you want to see the full list of documents that was recently uploaded to the Help Center, again, you can refer to the appendix section at the end of this PowerPoint. So on the next few slides, we'll take a look at some system updates that we have to share with you all. So this is a reminder of our release schedule. And as you can see, we have 2 releases scheduled this month, and we'll continue to have regular scheduled monthly maintenance. Okay, so on slide 17, we were recently informed that FEI made a core product change that impacts the revised MnCHOICES application. So when you're entering a contact, you would normally click on the profile icon to add that contact. So normally contacts were added by going to the profile icon. And the change that was implemented in this May 3rd release is that you'll see that contacts is now its own icon that lives outside of the person's profile. So if you want me to show you, I'm going to just spend 1 minute or so just kind of demoing that. You want to give me a minute just to get logged in. All right, so right now what you're seeing is I'm logged into our UAT training zone. This hasn't been implemented yet, but it hasn't been implemented in prod, but it will in this release. And so what you'll see is that the profile icon still has all information that pertains to the person, but you'll notice that contacts is now outside of the profile. And if you want to add a contact to the person's record, you would just go here, click contact or click plus add contact, enter a first and last name, and then you would indicate the relationship type. Enter any information that you have here, and then when you click save, oh, I guess my email is, well, I guess I don't need to enter an email now, but when you click save, you can always edit that later. You'll see that the contact then is created for John Doe, who I just created, and then you can go in and add, indicate whether or not the representative type there. You can go in, you can add an address, select the address, and then also that will populate there, and then you can also add a phone number as well, indicating whether or not it's the primary phone number. But this is how it will function in this release. So this is something that you'll see. You'll see here that my completion requirements are met. When I go back to my contacts, you'll see that the contact that I just created now has a completed status because I entered all of those required fields. If you want to make an edit to this contact, all you'll have to do is click on the three dots, open the record, and then click on the pencil icon to add any information add or update any information that was missed prior. So again, this demo is just to show you that you'll be seeing this change in the system. Again, when you go to add a contact, you will no longer add that contact using the profile icon, but you'll navigate to the contacts icon, and then that's where all your contacts will be listed.
Rakia, can we just clarify that we have just a few questions about if they have an existing contact in the system, that does move over to this area. So any contacts you had in the person profile will show here, and will show here. So I mean, these aren't, I don't know if these are all new for you, but we do know that existing contacts do come over into this new button. So you're not going to lose any information, any contact information. It will be retained.
Yep, that is correct. So if you had any prior contacts that was entered in the person's profile, they will come over into this new contacts, and they will be listed as in the same format. So yep, you won't be losing any contacts that were previously entered.
And one more quick question. If they wanted to add a fax number in, they could use the note field. If it was a number where there isn't an existing field, you'll need to use the note field to enter that information in.
All right, so May 3rd.
I don't know if you want to spend a few.
Oh,
I don't know if you want to spend more time answering these questions. I'm not sure. There's a few more if you want to just make sure that we are.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so clarifying about an email, if the address and email is required for contacts. And I think that we can clarify that an address would be required to move it into complete status, but an email is not required. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And then will these same contacts show in the support plan? And they will. They're in the person profile, so if they pull into the assessment form, they'll pull into the support plan form as well. And then I think that's our questions for right now. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Beth. So in today's release, there's a permission update to the support staff role. And once this fix is applied to the system, the support staff will be able to move the assessment to pending MMIS. So they'll be able to change that assessment status. And later this month, we do have 2 releases scheduled in May. So later this month for the OBRA Level 1 form, users will be able to type the name of the assessor in the text field instead of having to scroll through the entire list of assessors. So I know that's one that we got a lot of feedback on, and so that will be fixed in the 2nd May release. So on slide 20, this is just a slide to let you know that there were no new items that were added to the current functionality document. So you won't have any updates there.
Rakia, this is Heather.
Yeah.
Can we go back one slide? There will be one added, but you'll see that on the release summary that will be sent out to mentors on Monday. And then that will be added to the current functionality document when it is posted in the Help Center next week as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Heather. Okay, so here's a question that a user submitted. In that we wanted to share with the group. So the question was, can a waiver still be opened as a result of the assessment if the person qualifies for a waiver and would like to choose it? And so the answer is yes. The assessment results provide program eligibility, and the assessor reviews the options available with the person. And then on slide 22, this was another question that we got from a lead agency user. And again, the question was that we have received an increase in new members that have in-progress assessments that were initiated by the county. And this is causing a work stoppage for their users. And we just wanted to, answering this question, if a person is in the process of transitioning from a county or tribal nation to an MCO, that the county or tribal nation staff should reach out to the previous assessor to complete their work. So if the county needs to complete the assessment, we'll want you to complete it and then move that assessment status to approved by MMIS. And doing that will allow the care coordinator to be able to do the work that they need to do for the person. And then that second step is that you'll also want to make sure that you unassign yourself, that you unassign yourself as the certified assessor as well. So when you're creating a support plan, you want to make sure you're choosing the correct support plan type. This will ensure that the right information carries over to the right support plan. And following this process will also ensure that the right staff are able to access the forms that they need to do their work. And so again, when you're creating your support plan, we want to make sure that you are choosing the correct support plan type, and that is based off of the assessment that was completed for the person. Another question that we received is about updating the NPI once the form has been created. And the answer to that is that the person who creates the support plan form is the plan owner. And once the support plan is created, the plan owner field cannot be edited. So we wanted to make sure that we shared that with you all as well. And then on slide 25, we also received a few questions related to the EWRS rate tool and what status the assessment and support plan has to be in order to create the rate plan. And so as you can see on this slide, we have the statuses listed for both the assessment and the support plan. So another question that we received was about attaching signatures and where they can view the signature once the support plan is closed or in plan approved status. So this is where I'm gonna actually go out to the training zone environment and demo it for you. And so let me just quickly log into the training zone to see if I can pull this one up. All right, so I am in the MnCHOICES training zone. So as you can see, I have a support plan here that is in plan approved status. And if I click on the support plan and I navigate over to signatures, you'll see that the person has a handwritten signature. But if you try to click on the signature file here, you won't be able to click on it to open the PDF that was in here for this person. So if you want to view the signature in a closed support plan or in a support plan that is in plan approved status, what you'll need to do is click on this icon here, which says download signature. And then you'll see that I have it opened here. And so then when you click on that, then it will pull up a signature or the signature that was added as an attachment to the person record. So again, and this is just a document that we use as an example, but however you collect that signature, that's how you would go and pull it up in that support plan if your support plan is already in plan approved status. So again, don't click on the PDF file here. You'll need to click on this icon that says download signature. All right. All right, so on the next slide, so as we continue to get questions, or we do continue to get questions on how to revise a support plan. And so we want to remind you that instructions for revising a support plan can be found in all of the support plan smart guides. So we do have a smart guide, a support plan smart guide for the HRA. We have one for the support plan MCO MNA. And then we also have instructions in the support plan MNA smart guide. So on the next slide are those instructions rather, that we pulled directly from the smart guide. We do want you to keep in mind that in order to use the revised functionality, that the support plan that you want to revise has to be in plan approved status. So if you're following these steps and you continue to have issues with revising a support plan, you can continue to submit a help desk ticket to let us know. But we do want to call that out, is that you have to make sure that your support plan is in that final status before you revise the support plan or use that revised functionality. All right, so now it's time to answer your questions. And so at this time, I'm going to ask that you use the reactions icon to raise your hand, and then we're going to have Beth is going to call on you in the order that you raised your hand.
Okay, our first raised hand is from Keith Peterson. Hi, Keith.
Just kind of Amy just had a follow-up question there. I've got a couple other ones, but just the first one I asked. So when that new icon comes out for the contacts, because right now when we have to put in a new contact and then it's right into the assessment, we get an error saying that the assessment that needs to be put in there is that going to be removed? Because right now, whenever we're trying to add a contact, we don't know like if the person lives with that person or if they don't, and then also don't have all the information at the time of the assessment. So is it just putting in like the name of the person under the contact, like if we know that that, and then able just to process with the assessment?
So you shouldn't get an error as a result of your assessment necessarily. So as running the rules and doing what you usually do for your assessment regarding contacts, you will get an error. It will tell you that your completion requirements are complete for that person or for the person profile. So you'll see that if they're incomplete, you'll still see that. That still exists as it did yesterday, I guess.
Okay, is that something?
Would anybody else add anything? Sorry.
Is that something that can maybe be looked into? Because otherwise,
we do have that as a request.
Okay, so that
we
is
have it as a request for future enhancement. It's on our list.
Okay. And then just
okay, thanks, Keith.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And then just another very quick one as far as going back with the OBRA slide there. Is it possible to add a print function to the OBRA assessment? Because there's been a couple times where like the MCO has wanted us to make prints of the OBRA, but there's no print function on that.
There's not, for the type of form it is, there's not like a print box that you'd see typically in the assessment, but there is, you need to use the browser print. So that's where you would go to whichever browser you're using, but go to that browser print when you have the OBRA form up and hit print, and it'll preview the form for you and you'll get the OBRA form as it's intended to be printed. So you just need to use your browser print and not a print function button. Unfortunately, we don't have that ability.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Alyssa Savantino.
Hi,
Alyssa.
Hi. I had a question about support plans for when we're doing the disability waivers. I had one of my coworkers mention that the most up-to-date or the most recent support plan that she was working in, when it says active or not active, it said not active, but the older one still said active. And I didn't know what the application of that or how to get that switched. It didn't look like there was a way for us to edit that piece.
Hi, everybody. This is Victoria. Yeah, so the active on the menu when you are looking at your various forms, it's really irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. So what you have to do is to know which plan is active is the one that you have in plan approved status.
Okay, so it's saying not active doesn't impact anything.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary.
This. So this might be a really stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When Con was speaking about the import process, to get the health insurance information, it sounds like there's two different processes, and I thought the import or the way you did it is you just put the person's name in and then, or you could add the person in if it's not already in the system and uploaded. Is that correct? And then what does import process mean? Does that mean when it doesn't come up? I don't know, I was confused.
Hi, this is Kong. So when you're trying to create a new person record and you search for that person, there's two methods. One is it's gonna match it up with MMIS record, and
Right.
that's the importing method. The other one is you're creating that person, adding it without doing the import.
Yes. Yeah.
And yep, that's exactly what I was just talking about. The other method without the importing, and you're not matching it to MMIS. You of course are adding either the Social Security or the PMI, and what it does is it's going to add it to the application, and then it's going to sync up to Swindex later that night. So that's the
Okay.
activity that goes on later that night. And
So then we should wait a day for that, or you're
yes,
saying we should wait 2 days for that?
that one, we expect that you should get the health insurance information the next day, next morning.
Okay.
But then, like I said, there could be a chance that it is delayed. It's just based on all the activity that happened like the day before.
Okay.
If we have a lot of people doing a lot of person activity or adding people that way, we might have a larger file, and then it's going to take longer to load. And if you don't see it, health information load, that's probably what it is. And like by noon,
Okay.
you don't see it, you can check with us and we can tell you if it's something going on.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, Kimberly. Kimberly, I see that you're off mute, but we can't hear you.
Who did you ask for?
Kimberly?
Oh, okay. I didn't hear
Did you
my
have a
name, but I
question?
saw my mute was different. So I have a question regarding screening docs. Is there a SMART or practice guide for screening docs? Because I can't find anything.
Can you say more about what you're looking for? I mean, screening docs are pretty straightforward with, I mean, you print it and it's a score from the assessment. Are you looking for more information about why it populates?
How to fill it in. I don't know my exact questions, but I know that there was a few things that I had questions about as far as filling them out and what I needed to do, but I couldn't find any help for figuring that out.
There are resources in the DD codebook. So if you're looking for if you're working with somebody with a DD screening document, you can look in the codebook for the screening document fields explanations. In the guide, the MMIS instructions for entering LTC screening docs, I think is the title of that document. There's more information about the LTC fields that you could look there as well.
Okay. And then in that MS guide, whatever, would that help us figure out, because I got an error on one that was submitted for the, I think it was the DD code or screening doc. Yeah, it wasn't for behavior. I could not, for the life of me, find in the MnCHOICE assessment what question she was needing to get that answer. In the old system,
So
it was quite easy to find errors, but in this new system, it's not.
Are you using the completion requirements to check to see what specific section it would be in?
Yes.
So if you're clicking in there, well, if you're having trouble finding it, we want you to not get frustrated and reach out to us, and we'll help you figure out what's going on with it specifically. So reach out to us if you can't find it. We'd want to help.
Okay.
Help you figure out what's going on so you're not at a work stoppage. So.
Okay.
Was there anything else, or?
And then in the DD screening doc, there's the signatures, but we've never had to do signatures on a MnCHOICE before. And then it doesn't really like give you a spot for signatures. It just says yes or no.
Correct. The fields will populate from the DD screening document in from MnCHOICES into the DD screening document, but the actual signatures, you're now capturing the signatures at assessment with the 2727. If for DD screenings for sure, but
so just kind of ignore that section.
Yeah, that would be on a screening document. It would show, it'll give you the yes or no's, which is what you need to get those entered into MMIS.
Okay. So would I just answer no?
Well, you're getting the signatures, right? I mean, as part of the 2727, the person signing
off,
the
okay.
legal rep is signing off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move on to Amy Sullivan.
Just wondering, when is that contacts tab going to be added?
It will be added today with the release that's coming later today.
Okay, so it should be there Monday. Perfect.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Jennifer Vanderschaft.
I just have a quick clarifying question on the contacts tab. And I think when you quick went through it, it looked like you could save by just putting in the person's name and it would let you save. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I just want to express how happy that has made myself and the rest of our assessors in knowing that we don't have to have a valid address in order to get it to save. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Lana?
Hello?
Hi, Lana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Hi. I have a question about rate plans. If I understood correctly, the legacy 1.0 rate plan system is going to sunset, I think, August, if I remember correctly. My question is, if we have a rate plan that's completed in the system and an update needs to happen to the rate after it sunsets, what is the protocol for updating those?
After, are you talking our 1.0 system? Are you talking the revision?
1.0.
I believe, well, Charla, I don't know, but and Amy,
Hi.
if you want to speak to it.
This is Charla, and can you just
Okay.
repeat the question for me?
Yeah, so I work with an MCO, and I'm wondering if we have staff that's completed a rate plan in the 1.0 system, and if it's set to sunset at the end of August, and they get a call from an ALF saying they need a rate update, let's say, after it sunsets, what is the best practice for that? If the rate plan is not in the revised MnCHOICES.
I could take this one. So are you talking about, well, I should ask, are you talking about doing a one for the elderly waiver or for DD?
Elderly waiver.
Elderly waiver, okay. So if you're no longer able to use the system, the 1.0, there'll be something called, when you get into the newer system in the revision, it's called the rate plan with transition reason. Okay, so what that is that you'll start a new support plan in the revision, but you can go in and just, there's just a few things that you have to fill out, but then you can just enter in the screening document scores from your current rate plan, and you'd have to obviously put the contacts in there, but you can get a rate, you can develop a rate without having a support plan complete, and you can print it out from there. Because when you're in the new system, if there's no assessment in the system, obviously there's nothing to pull from to populate the rate plan. So I guess the answer to your question is you're going to have to do it in the revision system, but there's a relatively, I would say, painless option to use the support plan with transition reason. And there is a smart guide for that in the MnCHOICES Help Center. There's no way to copy from the old system to the new.
Okay, and did you mention the name of the smart guide? Sorry.
Yep, the smart guide is called the smart plan. I have it up. Hold on one second here. I think it's
Amy, I have it. It's called Support Plan with Transition Reason. That's what the practice guide is called.
Yeah, and it'll allow you, like I said, instead of like right now in 1.0, the scores pull over from the assessment, and so you can't change them or anything. In this support plan with transition reason, you'll be able to enter in all the screening document scores that you have for your previous rate tool.
Okay, and then just to clarify, when you mentioned the form, did you mention the rates form in the dropdown or the EW customized living worksheet form?
So there's the EWRS foster care, and that worksheet is for people who are coming into the MnCHOICES revision system, and there's no assessment. So again, there's nothing like when you're going in to start a new support plan. Say your assessment was done in 1.0, and now you need to do a new support plan. What you'll do is use your old. Hold on, let me back up for just a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. So that the EWRS foster care, that worksheet is really for people to figure out if their person is eligible for 24-hour customized living. So if you're going in there and doing, especially if you're doing the transition reason support plan, it's basically just a guide to help you know if they're eligible for 24-hour customized living. Because again, in that transition plan, there's no scores for the system to use to figure that out. And then it also will give you the rate limit for customized living, 24-hour customized living, and foster care, the foster care case mix cap. So if you're not authorizing 24-hour customized living, you don't need to use that form unless you need to use it to figure out what the service rate limits are. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. So just to clarify again, when you are having somebody coming over that support plan with transition, we don't actually have to create a new support plan. You can just use the rates form.
Well, you do. Okay, so you do need to start a new support plan, but doing that is fairly simple. There's not a lot of requirements that you have to put in there before you can open the rate plan. Okay, I want to be careful. You don't want to use the rate plan option, and this is another thing that I really wanted to clarify. So and this is more for people who are in there, even if you have an assessment in there. The rate plan is not meant to be something that is permanent and to like authorize your rates. You need to do the EWRS rate tool within the support plan. So even if you're in the transition, support plan with transition reason, you need to go in and use the EWRS tool in there.
Got it. Okay, that makes 100% sense. Perfect.
Yeah, it gets confusing because in 1.0 they're calling, you know, it's called a rate plan, and in the revision system, the rate plan is really just used for somebody that needs to figure out maybe what a rate might be. They're trying to figure out how to do the budget or whatever, but those are not actually, you can't use those to authorize a rate. And so that's been a little bit confusing for people. So make sure you're doing the tool within a support plan, whether it's a regular one or the transition one.
Thank you.
Okay, Tracy.
Question about support plans for non-waiver folks or people who are getting Real 185 case management. If we are doing 185 case management for somebody who's receiving PCA or CFSS in the revision, what type of support plan are we supposed to choose if they are also receiving like county funded employment services or CSG in addition to that CFSS?
So you would use, well, I would use the type B, but I would say the program type is CFSS, but as you're creating your plan, you're going to want to say that you want other services to be available so that you're able to enter in that DD case management as well in that plan. And so the other services, you know how when you're creating a support plan, you get asked the questions, if you want to include the Moving Home Minnesota questions, or if you want to use other services. It doesn't give the example specifically of DD case management, but that is the one, the second one is the one that you would use for those services to come over into that type B service agreement. The type B solely because that's where you're going to get the CFSS services. And so that would be the cleanest way to do that one.
Okay, so when I choose the type, I would choose CFSS, and then I would choose other for that other services question.
You'd say yes to other, yes.
Yes, other, yep. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Sarah Lindula. Oh, Sarah took her hand down. Amber.
Hi, yes, we were wondering if a case manager happens to do their annual before a MnCHOICES assessment has been initiated and the assessment's been opened and MnCHOICES revised. If we open the support plan to get the signatures on the support plan while we're out there, and then the assessment is completed and opened after that, will that assessment information pull into the support plan or no, because the support plan was opened prior to the assessment being opened?
Support plan folks, do you want to answer that one, or do you want me to answer from the assessment part? Okay, so you can start the assessment, it can be in progress. So not the assessment can be in progress. You can start the support plan, start the support plan, and the support plan can stay in progress. So you can start that, but you need to wait for that assessment to be in a ready, complete status, approved status, in order to move your support plan into in progress assessment complete. So all your work will save, it'll all be there. So you can start that work ahead of time, and that's intentional, but there are going to be fields that you're going to have to go back and revisit once you pull in the assessment content. But you can only pull in the assessment content once, so make sure that your assessment, and it will not pull correctly if your assessment is not in one of those completed statuses.
Okay, so but there shouldn't be, it sounds like, any issues with us opening up the support plan prior to the assessment being opened. Like none of that information will be missing as a result of that being opened beforehand, as long as we make sure it's in the complete status before we do the contact pull.
right, before you do the move the status. So as long as your status is in progress, you can look ahead in the support plan.
Sorry, say that one more time.
As long as your support plan is in progress and not in progress assessment complete, you're fine to work ahead. So there's the 2 stages of the support plan, right? The first status of in progress. So work ahead using that, but wait until your assessment is fully complete prior to moving the support plan forward.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Christy. Okay, Christy, took her hand down. Beltrami County.
Hello. There's a couple
Hello.
questions. First off, thank you for adding that contact icon. Our question regarding that is, will there be a time when we can populate those contacts into the support plan? With the CSP, we were able to put all of those in there, and it was very nice for our providers. So we're just wondering if that will ever be an option.
So contacts can be pulled into the support plan when you put them in services that support me. You're going or services and support. One of the categories is going to be people and organizations that support me.
Yeah, we understand that, but then we're double entering. So we're wondering, can they be populated in instead of we enter it in contacts and then we got to turn around and enter it in the support plan?
Yeah, that's something we're going to have to get back to you on. We don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, it would just be very nice. Our time is so stretched, so thin, to have to double enter everything to get it in there. Right now, I'm just printing the person information page and attaching it with it, but it would be nice if it would populate. Since we're already entering it in one section, why do we have to type it all over again to get it actually on the plan?
Okay, thank you. We will take that back.
Okay, and then Bree also has a question.
Hello. I just wanted to quickly ask, kind of in regards to the assessment, when we kind of look to start to get into the section of like risk of self-neglect, risk of victimization, that sort of area, we're kind of going back and forth a little bit in our unit here about how to just best answer some of those questions, mostly specifically for like the kiddos that we are assessing. I know that these questions were in 1.0, but we're seeing that depending on how we are deciding to answer them, it is affecting some time being given. So we kind of just wanted to make it a little more uniform across the board if we can. So like, for example, like the question that we sometimes are asking each other is like when it talks about risk of self-neglect. And, you know, when you look at like the help center, like the SMART guide, it kind of talks about, you know, in your professional conclusion, and it talks about food, clothing, shelter, personal care, etc. And then it says like this displays for people age 8 and older. So we know that that would obviously populate when we're going through an assessment, but like, let's say it's a 9-year-old. Well, obviously, like pretty much every 9-year-old still going to need some help though with shelter, some personal care, some medical care, you know, financial. So we kind of just want to make sure we kind of want to clarify maybe as long as the question has populated, even if the person is only 9 and obviously is still needing help with those things, should we still be clicking yes, even though, like I said, it's very obvious that a 9-year-old still needs help with those things?
If the question is showing, you can answer the question. What you should be seeing on the screening document is a 99 or an NA of some kind for certain situations. But if you have a specific question, can you send that in so that we can take a look at it specifically if there's something specifically you're questioning, but if the question is showing and it's not applicable to that person's age, your screening document should reflect that. And if it doesn't and you're questioning that, let us know.
So the screening document, but it's when we're in the assessment before we've even like done get results.
Right. I was just meaning to answer the question per the ability. The assessment has algorithms in the background that we've determined specific age ranges of what will populate where.
Sure.
And what your screening document results will be. But if there's something specific that you want more detail about, send it in and we can dig into that deeper for you.
Okay.
Okay, we all set. Beltrami?
Yep.
I'll move on. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Julie Johns. Oh, Julie took her hand down. Julie Roweck.
My question is, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, sorry. So when we reassign a case to another worker, we're finding that the name of the original worker shows up in the assessment instead of the name of the second worker. Is there something I'm missing and that I need to make that change?
Hi, this is Liz Sisk, Case Management and Support Plan Policy Specialist. There isn't currently a way to do that without creating a new plan. That field is not editable.
Okay, is that possibly will be changed in the future?
We do have a request to our vendor, but it hasn't gone through all the stages yet. So all I can tell you right now is we have a request.
Okay, and something in the same vein, likewise, if a care coordinator does a care plan, support plan first, and then we come in and do a support plan, somewhere in the assessment, the overall phone number for them or for UCare shows up instead of our phone number. Is that kind of the same
Yes.
issue that'll be worked on?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, this is Amy Alexander. I was just going to ask for clarification. So were you talking about the assessment? So like when you have maybe more than one assessor assigned and then you open up an assessment that the first assessor's name is the one that's populating in the assessment?
No, in our case, it was originally assigned to me, and then we decided to change it to a different assessor.
Okay. So I think with this coming release, there is a change, and Heather, feel free to jump in too, because I know you're knowledgeable about this, but there's a change where you will only be able to have one assessor assigned at a given time. So that was a defect that the vendor had fixed, where you could have more than one assessor assigned. And so with the fix coming in this release, you will only be able to have one assessor assigned. And so it shouldn't run into this issue anymore. So when you, like in this scenario, when you go to switch it to somebody else, your assignment would become inactive, and then the other person's the only active assessor, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And Heather, feel free to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Amy. I'll just piggyback on that. So the system will prevent the user from creating a new certified assessor assignment if there is already an active certified assessor assignment to the person. However, if you already have two existing active assessors, they will remain. So it will be the agency's responsibility to make one of those two assessors inactive, whichever one is not obviously working with the person any longer. But going forward, you won't be able to create an additional active certified assessor.
But even after I unassigned myself.
After you unassign yourself, it won't change the form. You would need to create a new form after you have removed one or more of the assessors who are no longer needed, and you only have one active assessor. Then you can create a new form and it will pull in the correct name.
Okay.
Okay, thanks everybody. Keith.
Yes, this is under the goals and the action steps tab there. Right now we are noticing like when we create the person's goals, we have to save it and then scroll forward on the bottom there to add the action steps. Wondering if it's possible to add everything in at one time instead of having to go back and forth and re-enter that. Is that one of the defects that is being worked on?
Yeah, that's actually part of just the core product. That's just how it was designed. You have to do the goal, and then you have to do your action, and then go back and link your action with your goal.
Okay. Yeah, because we've just been going back there and just like why just kind of wondering why couldn't they just fix that like almost right away just to make sure that we can instead of having to go back and forth because it seems kind of redundant.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, that's part of core product.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Rebecca Turner.
Have a case management related question. So we are starting to hit the 6-month mark visit for folks that are in revision, and our case managers were just looking for a little bit more direction on the LTSS improvements. Can you clarify which forms we're supposed to open or where the guide would be for this, since there's 5 different options in the revision platform?
Rakia, or support plan folks? Can I take that one?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Hi, this is Rakia. So if you're in the revision and you've completed your support plan in the revision, at this time, again, if you're doing work in the revision, then we are not requiring that the LTSS evaluations be complete at this time. We do have an e-list announcement that was sent out about this, and so again, the e-list just mentions that if you're doing work in the revision and you've fully transitioned into the revision, then you don't have to complete the evaluations. However, if you are still doing work in the support plan application, then those evaluations should still be completed.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sarah Hickman.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yep, we can. Thank you.
Okay. I just have a few questions related to the information that Kong shared earlier regarding PMI and getting that information into the system. So my first question is for individuals that don't have a PMI when they first come to us, which a lot of times those are people that are either elderly or young children. Is it your recommendation that we add the person with the social security number versus creating a PMI? Because what we don't want to do is, because then they're going to apply for MA and get another PMI. So just wondering what your recommendation is from DHS about that.
That is a really great question, and it's a great question for Teresa, who is on vacation today. Does anybody have, can you just send it to the help desk and we can make sure to get you a more thorough answer? I mean, I don't want to just take a stab at it. And so it would be easier if we could get you a more thorough answer for that one.
Okay, that's great. Really appreciate it. And then secondarily to that, um, if the system does find folks with 2 PMIs, um, what we're doing right now is we're choosing the PMI that has the open MA span. Can you confirm that's what we should be doing?
Kong, unless you have an answer for that, I think that also goes in your help desk form.
Yeah,
and
I
then
like
we can.
like you said, I don't want to take a stab at it because it might be
That's fine.
it's not it's not totally correct. So I think yeah, if you could send that in, then we could work on it over
Okay,
here
so
together, get you a
you
better
bet.
answer.
Okay, so both of these questions you want me to send into the help desk. Okay. And then
And we'll
lastly,
make sure.
just go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, people are asking, we'll bring them back and we'll talk about it at next office hours so that
Oh, I
everybody
see
has
what
the
you're saying.
answer.
Okay. If you could
Yep.
put, and one other thing, Kong, you have such great information. It would be so helpful if Kong's information could be on a slide. If that would be okay for future. Because I type
We
furiously
can
and
note that.
sometimes I get things wrong.
Okay. We can
Okay.
note that for future office
I
hours.
appreciate
Thanks,
it. Thank you
Sarah.
so much. And then
Have a
again,
great
just
day.
kind of with this whole idea of adding people. Right now we are reviewing our workflows around this, and we're trying to kind of solve some mysteries around adding people. And when we're looking in the tool, we can't really see who's maybe added something or how did this happen. If we send a help desk ticket with that person's name and I don't honestly know if there's an ID number. I'm kind of the information that you guys would need. Is there a way that you can see any of that action that you could let us know? Because what we want to do is be able to train people effectively about things. So that was just curious. Happy to put that in a help desk ticket too.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Leah.
Hi. So my question is about slide 25. And I'm just wondering when that support plan is in progress, assessment complete, when the EWRS service is being added and we're getting that rate, if we find that a assessed need was coded incorrectly in the assessment and we move the assessment back to in progress and make the change, will it pull into the support plan, or what is the direction from there? I know this
If
has
your
been
support
discussed in
plan,
the past, but okay, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. And actually, support plan folks, do you want to weigh in on this, please?
Yeah,
Or
unfortunately,
do you want
the
me to?
information only pulls into the support plan the one time. So if you put it in progress, assessment complete, that's your pull. If you go back and change your assessment after that, the new information will not pull in. There is actually a section in the assessment in introductory letter. I might have said that wrong. But it lists what the assessed needs are. So that would be a really good place to check before
Yeah. So what
before
I've experienced in the past is that if the support plan is in progress, assessment complete, and I do make a change and that list, like need is removed or added, that it actually does pull into the support plan once I change the assessment status to a completed status again. Is that something I should send into the help desk then, if it's not functioning the way that you're saying? Or is this something that maybe will get corrected in the future, or is the way it's functioning how it will continue functioning?
Well, I was not aware of that. So yeah, if you want to send that in so we can look at that further to see if this is a defect happening.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it's not necessarily a defect because it does help us not have to create a whole new support plan.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if
it's a
it is,
defect and that's not how it was designed to work, but I guess we may not, I don't know. You'll have to send it in and we'll look at it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd be curious if there's a specific plan that you're seeing that with, or specific program type that you're seeing that with, or if it's all planned.
Well, I did send it in like 6 months ago, so I'm not sure this exact plan that I was working on then, but I'll create another support plan and test it again and send it in if it's continuing to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Very helpful. Okay, Martha. Martha from Sherburne.
Yeah, I just been wanting to get some clarification on the contacts domain that's being added as of Monday. I thought I heard earlier in the call that we would need to have the address in order for that contact information to save. But then later in the call, I thought I heard that that was no longer a necessity to have the actual address or an address listed. So just wanting to get clarification on that.
So Amy, I don't know if you want to jump in here too, or if you, I'm happy to say it too.
Yeah, I can answer this one, thanks. Hi, this is Amy. I'm glad you asked this because I was planning on offering some clarification to it too. So what will happen right now with the current functionality when this releases is that you will be able to save it without entering the address and information. So you can save it, you can keep going on. But if you don't have the completion requirements met, so that section is going to have its own completion requirements. You can save it, you can keep going on with your work, but if the completion requirements aren't met, it won't pull in those contacts to like the contributors when you're doing your assessment and it pulls in, it won't pull them in unless the address is there. So for the time being, we do, I think Beth mentioned for a different question that we do have a change request in the queue with our vendor to make it so that it's not required to put the address, but for now you still will need to put an address. And so you'll still need, when you don't have the address, you'll still have to use that workaround, which right now is just selecting that they live with the person and then writing a note in the notes field. And then hopefully we'll have that fixed in a future release. So hopefully that helps. If you still have questions, let me know.
No, thank you. And then one other question, Elizabeth, you had mentioned that DHS was intentional on some age algorithms for when questions pull to the revisions tool or when it populates. Is there a smart guide that's out there that we can reference that's kind of pertinent to which questions pull at which age and when those populate or don't populate or 99s to the screening document?
They should be recorded in, and there's not necessarily a smart guide, but it's within the assessment guidance that you'd be able to see that it should tell you when you'll see that information. So it is embedded within the assessment guidance. So if there's a specific question that you're looking at there, you're able to look in the assessment guidance and it will tell you when you should expect to see it.
Does it also indicate when it pulls or pulls as a 99 to the screening docs?
No, it just tells you when you're going to see the question.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're getting close. I think we have time for, well, let's see, for sure one more question. Jamie.
Hey, I think I'm unmuted. This is Jamie Eisterold with Hubbard County. Hi. My question is regarding the 24-hour customized living. It used to tell us in 1.0 whether a person qualifies for that 24-hour customized living. What I'm hearing now is that that is now determined later from the support plan. Is that true? And the reason why I'm asking is just because the difference in allowed rates between someone that is at a 24-hour customized living and someone that meets that and someone that is not is pretty large. And a lot of times our income maintenance unit asks for like an estimated amount before they'll open somebody. So the difference, I don't know. Right now, I don't know if a person is qualifying for that 24-hour customized living, which has been somewhat of a challenge. So just wanting to know if there's a way for at the assessment level for us to see that.
Hi, this is Amy. I can speak to this one. So there is nowhere on the assessment get that information. The reason is there are, like I said earlier, there's many different ways that a person can become eligible for 24-hour customized living. 6 out of those 7 can be determined by the assessment. But the 7th one is that you have to have, there's a list of, you have to have 3 out of these certain 5 ADLs plus medication management plus 50 hours of service. So when you're doing the assessment, you're not going to know if they're going to meet that 24-hour CL criteria. However, if you have access to the revision, you can go into that EWRS customized living and foster care worksheet and put in, well, you still won't know if they're, there's really no way to tell that they're eligible with the assessment.
Sure.
You can look, if you look in the CBSM, you can see what the requirements are for the 24-hour customized living, but that's the best you could do till you get into the support plan.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going crazy and that was kind of taken away in 2.0. And all right. Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, the component service rates are the same, regardless of whether it's 24-hour or regular. It's just that the limits are larger for the 24-hour CL. So.
Yeah, and that's what makes it challenging is I'm just guessing as far as telling the income maintenance unit, what their rate might be. But I mean, I guess I'm guessing anyway. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, if you look at the CBSM, there are some things that automatically trigger qualification for 24-hour CL. Like, for instance, if the person needs assistance with toileting, obviously, you don't know when you're going to need to go to the bathroom. So that one is one that you automatically qualify for 24-hour CL. So you might be able to tell by looking at those. I mean, it wouldn't be an official saying, I know for sure, but that would give you a good idea.
Okay. Thank you, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so, since this call does end at 11, I do want to spend the last minute just kind of wrapping up the call. As always, you can listen to past webinars or call-in sessions by going to the DSD webinar archive page. And if you want to stay up to date on the MnCHOICES revision project, make sure that you're signed up to receive the e-list announcements. Thank you so much for joining today's call. If we did not address your question, or if you have questions after the call, please use the MnCHOICES help desk form, and we'll be sure to respond to your question. So I think at this time we are going to end today's call. So Anna, please stop the recording.